Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the weekly comic book roundup. We've got a decently sized haul, so let's get started. Kicking things off, we've got X-Force number 34. So this is the first post Judgment Day issue of X-Force, so I can really do where we left off because it's sort of a completely new arc. The issue large part focuses on Sage, kind of delving deeper into her, well, to be honest, her depression about basically running X Force and the fact that, to to cope with this, she's turning to drink and becoming, well, more than a bit of an alcoholic. It seems that, meanwhile, the Iraqi pirate Severe Blackmore has opted to start pillaging the stars as well as the seas, going after a ship full of petals from Morocco. Turns out that, however, that the mercs have been hired to protect shipments. We get a financial log of a transfer of 100 billion US in a discretionary fund. Sage asks Beast about it, to which Beast privately replies that he had tried a drink in a Toronto market, brought home the ingredients for Blob. Remembering that Sage liked it, and especially when part of it with vodka. She wanted to make sure that she's taking care of the Green Lagoon. And apparently he's also pouring some money to Krakow and Biotech, weapons systems mostly. Nothing she needs to concern herself with, but he'll be sure to share more intel if they make any great strides. But Omega Red is being somewhat helpful of Sage dealing with her issues. The mercs take down Blackmore and capture him, and also Domino is on a mission in on Earth, basically to hack a Xeno base's computer systems. She gets injured, makes her way through a gate, and loses consciousness. And it turns out that it would appear that $100 billion was actually for an orbital prison for Morocco, based for criminals who commit crimes against them. There's a logbook entry about the prison moon. Construction is ongoing. The initial investment was privately underwritten with discretionary funds. Long-term viability, mostly irrelevant, but costs offset by goods and ships sequestered from clients. Staffed by Maverick the Mercs, they can only be trusted not to turn on Krakoa if they're on the payroll. Goals, private quarters for business and experimentation. It's a penal colony beyond the purview of the Quiet Council, and an experimental site for Krakoa and Biotech. Straight up referred to by Beast as a black site. But as Blakemore is being escorted to his cell, it turns out Solom has infiltrated the guards. And Solom explains that Beast is running experiments just before freeing Blakemore. And that is where the issue ends. Yeah. Sure, we've got Xeno, we've had Legacy House, we've had Maverick and the Mercs, but it would seem anymore that the true villain of X-Force is Beast, which is kind of sad to see, but yeah, it's definitely where X-Force and Wolverine are clearly heading. Moving on to our next book, we've got X-Men number 17. Where we left off, the X-Men were had basically made it so that any escapees from the vault at the moment would not be a problem, while Ford was infiltrating, with the intention to rescue Darwin. However, while Ford did find a mutant's signature, which he followed deep into the vault, it wasn't Darwin he found. It was Wolverine. And so, Jean has called Sync to the vault. Sync, having the extremely prolonged experience that he had within the vault, would rather not revisit after all. Caliban, who makes up part of Ford's containment suit, is not happy with the fact that Forge is leaving Wolverine present. But Forge is attacked by one of the children of the vault, Serafina, and Forge and Serafina chat. Forge has a vision, and we learn that Darwin has long since evolved past, quite a bit. He's now code. But Forge opts to rescue Laura, and so when Darwin arrives, the Laura that he spent centuries alongside is there, and the two share a kiss. Forge destroys the suit that he made with the assistance of Mr. Sinister, and it would appear that the X-Men in the Vault are at least not trying to kill one another at the moment. The issue ends with Forge sharing a drink with Caliban at the Green Lagoon, and Forge kind of feeling a little guilty about having basically made a clone of Caliban for the sheer purpose of integrating it into a suit. There's a patient file from Forge, or of Sync. There's a patient file number 14, post-resurrection analysis of Sync. A subject is also an addition to the medical files of Forge. It's explained that referring to the older Laura as Alpha Wolverine. She had a similar cerebral backup, similar in size to Sync's when he emerged and was caught by Xavier just before his body's passing. Forge's cerebral backup was measured in zettabytes, which is extremely odd, considering that the suit made use of Tempo's mutant gifts and allowed him to effectively live inside a bubble that kept him from the temporal storm in the vault. His mind should have been almost the same size as when he went in. Forge's backups are larger than some of their most powerful telepaths, which makes sense when his gift is to create. Nonetheless, it is something that Dr. Reyes sees as yet another anomaly to track. They've asked for estimations of future backups of his mind from Cerebro. But Cerebro backed him up again, and the size was inside the expected strike zone. When asked to compare them with the abnormally large scan, it was in fact back down to the expected size. Either the massive data spike was an error or an anomaly, and well, she'd like to know what she said like enduring mysteries. I kind of it makes me think maybe she wasn't too big a fan of Wolverine before he knew everything about his past. Best guess: the code that Darwin evolved into hitched a ride back to Krakoa in Forge. But that is where the issue ends. Interesting wrap up, and timely given what we're about to our next book. Amazing Spider-Man number 14. This issue serves as a prologue to the upcoming X-Men Amazing Spider-Man crossover Dark Web. So, quick rundown of the important players in the issue. Ben Reilly is the spider clone that most people think of as being the spider. The spider clone. There were others, Kane, Spider Side, and like I said, various others. But Ben was the more enduring of the bunch. So for a while, he was the main Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man after Nick Spencer's run wrapped up. He was working for the Beyond Corporation, and they were mucking with his memories, kind of removing it. The best way I could think to describe it would be removing anything that would be potentially harmful to the Beyond Corporation's superhero program. When Ben discovered this, he was given basically he was told, "Hey, you want well, we didn't take the memories, but if you want them back, you'll have to get them from the other Spider-Man." Peter wasn't too keen on that, and there was a big kerfuffle. Ben got exposed to some experimental Beyond gunk and took the name Chasm, and that's kind of how he sees himself, because most of the memories about that inform his personality are now gone. Those parts of his memory are a chasm. Then we've got Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen. Clone of Jean Grey attempted to sacrifice her infant son, Nathan Christopher Summers, now known as Cable, to demons, was stopped and killed, came back a few times, most recently resurrected by Krakoa. I would actually say as a means of potentially bribing Havoc. But she didn't want to be the Jean Grey to Havoc's. She didn't want to be Havoc's Jean Grey. She has since become the Queen of Limbo, having, as the former Queen, Magic passed along the title to her. The two, Ben and Madeline have recently interacted in the Amazing Spider-Man Free Comic Book Day story, which saw Peter fighting a mailbox trying to eat people. Kind of like something that happened in Inferno. And so, the story is cut up into basically 4 vignettes. Spring, summer, fall, and winter. Spring, Ben is has been raiding beyond sites, trying to find ways to recreate the technology that could return his missing memories. His girlfriend Janine is having some issues. She's trying to be there for him, but it's not easy. She even seems to consider leaving him, but at a diner in Grand Central Station, she gets recognized and makes a run for it, deciding that yeah, she's on board with what Ben's doing. Summer sees Ben bump into the collections guy that was bothering Peter early on in this current run of Amazing Spider-Man, mistaking Ben for Peter. They've found they managed to get Ben and Janine have managed to get some additional materials from beyond, including a decades-old piece of skin. A portal is opened, and Ben travels through it, and ends up in Limbo, meeting the Goblin Queen herself. Not to be confused with the Queen Goblin. But in each other, Ben and Madeline find kindred spirits. Both are clones. Both are viewed. Both have been kind of viewed at the whims of their the source material. Fall. This is after the Amazing Spider-Man Free Comic Book Day story. Ben and Madeline are plotting, and Ben suggests an invasion of New York. This way, Ben and Madeline can both get what they want because, well, the X-Men operate out of New York now, as does Spider-Man. So, but Ben will lead the attack. It's a little more convenient. It feels it'll be a little more convenient for Madeline. Though Madeline also points out that she's the one to basically bite the hand that feeds her. Because, well, yeah. Janine, however, is feeling. She doesn't like the fact that she kind of feels like, there are all these other forces kind of, she's kind of at the whim of other forces. And so Madeline sticks Sim's thumb into Janine's chest, granting her powers, becoming Hallows Eve. Finally, we have winter. Ben once again encounters the guy from the collection agency. Apparently, Ben can't remember his last name, but he beats the guy and takes him to Limbo. And now we know what happened to the mysteriously vanishing collections agent. He was seemingly killed in Limbo. And so, the plans are set in motion to reignite the sparks of Inferno. And that is where the issue ends. I like the way this book was done, especially with each season having a different art team. Looking forward to Dark Web. Should be a fun. Should make for a fun story. Moving on to our next book, we've got Deadly Neighborhood Spider-Man number 2. Where we left off, Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Peter Parker, currently operating out of L.A., has encountered the Demon Bear. So we open with a Native American tale about two spirits who found a rock with and tried to keep it warm, and yeah, it's but the Spider-Man fights the Demon Bear in the lab. The Demon Bear and Spidey talk. Spidey able to calm him down enough to communicate. Explain that the Demon Bear doesn't communicate through words, but rather with psychic imagery, which leads Peter to wonder if this is what it's like for Professor X to read minds. But the Demon Bear makes a wager with Peter. Peter's got 3 days to find the maze and defeat the Demon Bear there. If Peter loses, the nightmares will break free and infect reality. Peter and Crystal go out for coffee. After the experiment ends, Crystal didn't see any of what just happened, and a patron, while they're discussing things, hands them a piece of paper. It was handed to him, and he was told, "Hey, there's going to be a man and a woman. Give them this to stir coffee." And so Peter stirs the coffee, making a spiral, and now they both see it, including imagery relating to this tale earlier. Apparently Crystal was told stories of the Demon Bear. But he tells Crystal a little bit how he has to how he encountered the Demon Bear, and he now has to defeat it. The mysterious rock is also present, but Peter calls Wong and goes to meet with a magician in L.A. It's in fact the artist that he dealt with in the first issue, Traffic. While the two of them are going over everything, and including the mysterious rock, things kind of go sideways in her lab, and the rock seems to bond with Peter. Peter's able to take a beating from her security team, but manages to escape, seemingly. Waking up and discovering the rock still stuck in his chest. I will admit, with the Demon Bear, it kind of seems like maybe Danny Moonstar should be involved. I mean, we still got a few issues, so, maybe, but I'm not holding my breath. The mention of Xavier kind of makes me think, okay, perhaps she will be, but yeah. Anyway, so far, it seems interesting. It's definitely a story focusing on Spider-Man dealing with something that is completely and totally outside of his wheelhouse. Because let's just be honest, magical stuff is way out of Spider-Man's wheelhouse. Anyways, moving on to our next book, we've got Dark Crisis: The Dark Army. Finally. So, during Dark Crisis number 6, maybe actually number 5, think about it. Robin, Damian Wayne, came up with a plan that he was going to put in motion, but he gathered some forces for it. So Damian looks over the battlefield and figures out what he needs to make his plan work, namely looking at powers. Transportation, sideways. Muscle, Power Girl. Energy, Dr. Light. Brains, well, that's going to have to be him. However, he saves Red Canary from Girder, and she kind of ends up joining the group. And this issue also does kind of make clear, I think, definitely part of why Damien is, well, the way Damien is. Oh, he's only 5'4". Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. But pretty much everyone's kind of, even Damien's wondering why the hell he's bringing Red Canary along, because she's, he hardly refers to her as Red Canary, or she's this new girl. But then have Earth 53, which appears to be JL8 Earth. They try to see if maybe they can fix the dam. Find out if there's a way to to defeat the Dark Army with what's there. They find the Cosmic Tuning Fork and a Cloud of Shadow Demons attack, which Dr. Light handles. Including a giant Shadow Demon, which again Dr. Light handles. They end up in the Hall of Heroes, in the Bleed, and are attacked by Justice League Incarnate, who are part of the Dark Army. But Dr. Light is able to kind of upgrade her abilities and basically free everyone from being part of the Dark Army. At least free everyone that's there. And so, Justice League Incarnate, well, Dr. Multiverse gets a look at everyone's kind of timeline of seeing that apparently Damien has has like a singular path no matter what reality, with him becoming Batman. But the issue ends with Justice League Incarnate heading into the fray. To be continued in another one-shot, Dark Crisis Warzone, and of course the final issue of this miniseries of the event, Dark Crisis number 7. Not too shabby. It's nice to actually get to see Red Canary in action, as opposed to just seeing that cover of her, and the issue had a few panels. But yeah, moving on to our last book for the moment, we've got Deathstroke Inc. number 15, wrapping up the Deathstroke Year 1 arc. So, Deathstroke had completed his contract, killing the scientist who had made him, but had learned that the man who hired him was actually behind the project that made Slade Wilson Deathstroke. However, the mercs that had been sent to finish the job when Slade was believed dead took, while Slade killed 2 of them, one of them survived and took Wintergreen and Slade prisoner, intending to take them back to Mr. Walsh. They board a plane, and Muzzle very nearly throws Wintergreen. Oh, actually, technically does throw Wintergreen out of the plane, but Muzzle gets taken down by Slade and Wintergreen. Body dumped somewhere over Utah. Slade meets with Walsh, and he explains that, I know the truth. You were behind the experiments, but I'm here for my money. Walsh tries to hire Deathstroke in perpetuity, but, well, Deathstroke's not not the kind of guy to be someone's constant employee. But it's explained that he pretty much is letting Walsh is on notice. It's kind of Muzzle and his crew were the best that Walsh had to offer. Well, Slade took all of them down. So he could get if someone hired Slade to go after Walsh. Well, he knows where to find. Slade knows where to find Walsh. Slade returns home, and Adeline's not happy with him, especially seeing how he kind of hung up on her upon her telling him that she was pregnant. But they talk things out. Slade lies to her. Doesn't tell her, oh, yeah, I took a mercenary gig, and it got pretty crazy. Rather saying, yeah, we weren't actually out there to hunt. We just wanted to go out and drink and, fire guns at cans for a while. That's all. But he decides that he needs this to be for his cover, so to speak. But, there'd be a whole thing. Job, wife, family, house in suburbs, boring job, a front. Then the issue ends with an interlude in Casnia, country of Casnia. Leader's giving a speech. Slade's on a rooftop with a sniper rifle. Winter greets in the audience, freezing his ass off. And the ending with Slade firing. I like the year one story. I also appreciate the fact that it did not make a point of trying to say, "Hey, Slade Wilson's actually a decent guy." No, maybe there once was a decent person inside there, but he even by this point, the decent person is gone. So, I can't remember if there's a solicited issue for next month. I guess we'll find out in a month. But anyway, that is going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal account in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.